give them an opportunity to make better choices than we might have made in the beginning.
Hey, hello, and welcome to, let me get right here. Welcome to American Rooted, your home for the best American roots music, your home for the best film, your home for the best independent artists, influence, influencers, business leaders. All of those things you're going to be finding right here on American Rooted. So we're so glad to have you. We got for our first show, we have an exciting show for you. We have Larry Kemp is going to be with us today. And so we're excited to have him. He's going to talk about business. This is one of the first black billionaires or millionaires. I'm sorry, he's almost there, but one of the first black millionaires that I got a chance to personally meet. So we're looking forward to him talking to us about business and inspiring us. And also, he's going to talk about, and because we know this is a music show, he's also going to talk about how hip hop encouraged him or inspired him during those times when he was coming up. So we got an exciting show once again. My name is Corey Portier, and we want to welcome you to American Rooted, your home for the best American music, film, scripts, poetry, dance, influencers. I'm sorry. This is your home for the best, right here in great America, right? All right. So announcement: we got a couple other shows coming from the Portier family. We have Natural Essence, which will be starting, I believe, next Wednesday. My part two, which is Lil Coy. I don't know if you want to be called Lil Coy, but it's Coy Portier. Number two, he'll be launching his show, Coy the Network, pretty soon. So we want to make sure we keep you up on that. And every Sunday at 3:30 Central Time, we have gardening with Cat and Coy, where we're teaching you how to grow your own food and inspire you. The fact that everybody can learn how to grow their own food. So, if you're excited about that, you'll be excited about tonight's show as well, because this guy's going to teach you how to grow yourself, how to grow your money, how to grow your self-esteem, how to grow your passion. So he may not be teaching us how to grow food, but he will be teaching us or encouraging us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Sean. We're getting ready to bring Mr. Kemp on, and we're excited to have him on. So excited to have you, Sean. Welcome to American Rooted, your home for the best American entertainment, the best music, the best film, because coming from independent artists right here in the United States. So we're excited to have it. But right now, we're going to bring on Mr. Kemp, and Mr. Kemp is going to get a chance. So, Mr. Kemp, are you there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Good, 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 good. We're so glad to have you on with us right here in American Rooted. And we got a few guests on tonight, and we're going to be promoting this throughout the United States and hopefully around the world. So I know you have some great things you wanted to share with us and inspire us tonight. So first of all, tell the people who you are and where you're from and what you do.
My name is Larry Kemp. I'm an entrepreneur here in Fort Worth, Texas.
All right. All right. So we're so glad to have you on. So Larry Kemp. Now, I've been hearing for years before I actually physically met you. I had been hearing about this exciting businessman who talked about hip hop, who talked about how hip hop inspired him. And so before we get into anything, I need to understand how a successful businessman, what's the correlation here with hip hop?
It's really funny. I'm not really a music buff, and I didn't really start listening to rap music. I'm 66. I started listening to rap music when I was in my late 50s.
Oh.
But what I found out about, so a friend of mine gave me this CD. It was the Magna Carta CD by Jay-Z. And I think I listened to like one of the same songs about 20 times. And that's what I would tell students when I speak. I speak a lot to students at colleges and high schools and different venues. And I always tell them, quit dancing and start listening. Because what I found in the words that I hear from everybody from Jay-Z to Lil Wayne to Master P to Drake, you name them, they talk about that you don't have to accept the life that was given you. There's a better life. And that all the obstacles and all the things that prevented them and said they couldn't achieve were really the things that propelled them. Jay-Z couldn't get a record deal, so he started his own record company. Master P turned down $1 million because he realized and was told he'd never do a deal in America again. But he said, I don't want a record deal. I just want a distribution deal. So they changed the way and when I look at business moguls today, the most prominent business moguls are rappers. Uh-huh. They own sports teams. Nelly, Jay-Z, Yo Gotti owns a soccer team in England. They own baseball, portions of baseball teams. They advertise cars, liquor, clothing, you name it, cigars, watches. And so they're the only group of artists that transcend America. Uh-huh. Because what happened is hip-hop has turned into a culture.
Right.
An entire culture. It's a language. It's a dress style. It's a hairstyle. If you want to follow the trends in America, just watch out what's going on in the hip hop culture. And so, what it inspired me from listening to the music was that it's basically in the words they say, you can achieve anything, you can do anything in spite of where you start, and that's what I get from hip hop music.
All right, so. Now, I heard you call out a few names. Yeah, Jay-Z is a great way to start. I'm telling you, if you're going to start in rap music, that's one of the greatest and most inspiring young cats to start with. And so, as you relate now into the business world, can you kind of tell us how you got started, how you got Kemp, the whole Mr. Kemp, and how does this whole thing start?
I got started in the business world, unfortunately, by upheaval in my life. I was going through a bad divorce. I made some poor choices in my life, so I lost everything. And my father had this small, little rinky-dink cleaning business. I had been to college. I had worked in corporate America, and I said maybe I can give this a try. And so what I did was I applied everything I learned in a collegiate setting, taking classes, mentorship, watching other successful people, and we grew the business from like 6 employees to over 150, almost 200 up into prior to COVID.
Wow. So, I mean, okay, tell us about the business. What do you do, and how did you get started?
We have a commercial cleaning business. We clean federal buildings, city buildings, state buildings. We've had offices and operations in other states. And we just try to be the best business that we can be. And most of all, we try to give back to the community.
Okay, so when we say give back to the community, how important is that for a black man, especially to be seen giving back to the community? Because we know that a lot of times that when, let's just be real. Sometimes when we get some money, we move on, we forget about the community. And it's nice for when, those, other demographics come in and try to inspire the kids. But how important is it for somebody who looks like you to be seen giving back to the community?
Well, the first level of success is to see it. And, I think I was 13 or 14 before I ever met a black man who had been to college.
Wow.
So I had never seen anybody who had been to college in my neighborhood because I grew up in a working class neighborhood. So I saw and met a black man other than a teacher that had been to college, and that changed my perspective. And I said, well, if he can do it, maybe I can do it. And I think as far as, I was labeled at risk. I'm one of 3 boys, and I was the one that my parents wondered what was going to happen to me because I made a lot of poor choices as a kid, as a young adult. And I think those mistakes propelled me to do better. And so when I look at kids, and especially African boys that are labeled at risk, I was that boy. Uh-huh. So I think it's incumbent upon black males and black professionals, black business people, and any person of any stature to reach back and pay it forward, because people helped me. I sponsor events. I have a scholarship in my alma mater. I just try to give back in small ways and big ways.
Yeah, I know that you had something that you wanted to share with us. I know that just from experience in business, it was some things that you mentioned that you were going to share with us tonight. So what are some of the things that you're going to impart on to us?
Oh, wow. It's just that it's really about, there's only two things you really have absolute control of over, and that's your work ethic and your attitude. Mm-hmm. And your perspective in life is everything. You know, what some people see as an obstacle, I choose to see it as an opportunity. Sometimes we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because you don't grow unless you stretch and you go beyond your comfort zone. And sometimes we have to strive not in spite of, but because of, because we already have a lot of hurdles and obstacles against us. And I tell youth, you don't have to be first, but refuse to be last.
Come on.
You know, just refuse to be last, because you have to expect the best of yourself. You know, I'm a big proponent of education, but one thing that I found that education does not do for you, education doesn't help you dream. Mm-hmm. And that's what separates the really, really successful people from the somewhat successful people to the average people. It's the size of your dream. Because if you're dreaming big enough to, when you tell a friend about it, he doesn't think you're crazy, you're dreaming big enough. Your dream ought to be so big that your friends think you're crazy. I know as a kid, when I talked about taking over my father's little rinky-dink business, that you know, most of my friends work part-time with us in the summers, they thought I was crazy, because everybody said, who wants to clean the toilets for a living? But who would think 40 years later that we would be recognized by Harvard not once but twice, being Forbes and Fortune and Inc. magazine. So when my friends laughed at me when I was a kid, they saw my dreams come to fruition, you know, many, many years later. You know, I say we're overnight success. It only took us 40 years, but it was a lot of work and a lot of perseverance and a lot of not giving up.
Now, patience is a big part of that. Speak on patience, because a lot of times, you know, with the internet, with this whole microwavable age, where people think things happen overnight. See, most people don't know your story. They're probably thinking, you know, it took you 5 years. You're telling us now it took you about 40 years. Talk to us about patience.
Man, if you really, I'm a big history buff, and I studied successful people. Everybody from John F. Kennedy to Lil Wayne to Drake to Bill Gates. And if you study, they talk more about their failures than their successes. Mm-hmm. You know, the biggest rappers couldn't get a record deal. Bill Gates, the first time he pitched Microsoft to somebody, they hung up in his face. Success is more about the failures than the successes, because I don't believe there's anything in failure. I believe in giving up, but I call failure practice. Mm-hmm. It's just practice. It's something along the way to make you better. And I also talk about this thing called pivot. Pivoting to me is you can get to the destination or your goal, but sometimes in a different lane. Every black kid that's ever touched a football or shot a basketball just knew they were going to the pros. Mm-hmm. You know, we dream of going to the pros, but you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning. And I too thought that same way. I went to college on a basketball scholarship. First day of practice, I knew I wasn't going to the pros. I knew I wasn't good enough. So I had to pivot and try to get my degree and take the business route to have the life I thought I wanted and deserved for my family.
I know you speak a lot at different events. Are you straightforward with some of these young men, and you tell them that? Because we had a kid in the Pleasant Grove area. His goal was to be a paleontologist, dinosaur. It's hard to get that word out. Paleontologist. But he also was living in that world where there was murders every night. There's people dying all the time. This was what he was surrounded with. And but his goal was to get into the NFL. So our encouragement was to him was to just stay focused on school right then. We had to be honest with him, like, man, you out here in these streets messing up right now. You're not going to make it to these dreams. How straightforward are you with some of these youth in these areas?
I'm very blunt. I'm very blunt because I've been that student. I didn't make the best grades. I only had one opportunity to go to college. I don't have any special gifts or talents or anything like that. So I'm very, like I said, you got a better chance of getting struck by lightning than going to the NFL or NBA. And nobody's concerned about getting struck by lightning. But that's the probability of chance. It's just that small. Mm-hmm. So you have a better chance being a dentist or a doctor or astronaut or an engineer than playing for the Dallas Cowboys.
Right. Well, I mean, and we want to sound positive to these kids, but a lot of times everything is handed to them. And so they have no real understanding that they have to work for things or they have to stay out of trouble. The system make them think that if you get in trouble today, you'll be out tomorrow. So we can do crazy things. So if you've had some trouble in the past, can you tell us about, what happened, what got you out of that trouble?
I was a young male, choosing to make poor decisions against my parents' wishes. It's not fun getting into trouble. I have no shame in saying that I was in the back of a police car twice in the same day, but I've been recognized by Harvard twice. So how did I make that transition? I transitioned by changing the way I think. Everything about my life, I changed the way I think. What I ate, the way I dressed, what I read, what I watched on TV, the friends I was around, the books I picked up every day. I quit reading comic strips. I started reading the business section. I started reading self-help books, motivational books, biographies. I don't read fiction books. I don't read fiction books. If it's not a true story, it's not something that can make me better, I don't read it.
Well, speaking of books, tell us a little bit more about your book.
Oh, my book, it's called The Secrets of Success. There are none. Because, I'm like everybody else. I'm typically lazy. And everybody wants this shortcut to success. And I tried to find all the shortcuts. And I found that there were none. And you have to put in the work, put in the effort, and be persistent. I'd rather take the hard worker over the talented person anytime, because hard work is always going to last. And so you have to be diligent about your goals and your dreams, your tasks, and stick to them.
Mm-hmm. So what inspired you to write the book in itself?
People, different people came to me and said I had a story to tell. And in this book, it's a book of lessons, lessons from my father, lessons from my family, lessons from my faith, lessons from my failures. Because I don't feel you ever fail, you learn. And that failure is a learning lesson if you choose to learn from it. So the book is a whole series of lessons in life.
Okay. So from that, because, I've been inspired to write a book myself. My thing is getting out of my own way with a busy schedule. And I know your schedule is busy. How were you able to get through that process? Maybe you can inform me, because that's one thing I cannot do.
Well, I luckily did. I had some people that were versed in book writing, and they kind of helped me script it. What was the journal message I want to tell. Then when I broke it down to lessons, I picked up lessons from my business relationships. I talked about how early on in my business relationship, I wrote a check that bounced. And years later, I had an unlimited line of hundreds of thousands of dollars credit with the same vendor, because the check, I was struggling in business when I first started. The check bounced. I went to him. I was honest. I told him what I'd pay him. I paid him early, and we formed a relationship. From that day forward, over like 20 years, everything I committed to do financially, I did. So that built a level of trust. And today, if I wanted $100,000 worth of equipment or supplies on credit, all I all I have to do is make a phone call, and that's all the way from writing to bounce a hot check years ago, almost 20 years ago.
And see, this is the type of things people need to hear, because when they see you, all they see is the nice suits. They see a classy gentleman, but they don't know the stories that you had to go through to get where you are. Because I know when I first met you, I saw the videos. I'm like, man, who is this guy? And then I finally met you to see that, you know, the passion that you have and how you accepted my wife and I and my kids, and how you mentor us and how you talk to I and Big J. And you told me one time, it's always stuck with me. You said, hey, man, stop all that Mr. stuff. You know, I'm Larry. I'm your brother, man. Just call me Larry. And that really stuck with me, because from the other side of the lens, I just saw this very powerful businessman. So I really appreciate you mentoring I and Jay and Cleve and all of us.
Yeah, honestly, I don't see myself as others see me, because, over the last couple of years, life has happened. I've lost my oldest brother. I lost my favorite aunt. I lost two men that mentored me. I had a serious health scare. I didn't know if my life was on the limb. And so today I look at life so much differently. I take pause. I take in the scenery around me. I enjoy the real friendships I have in my life. Because to me, Mr. Kemp was my father. And I don't think I've done anything as close to what he accomplished in his life. So I don't even think I rate the Mister. So I just prefer to be called Larry.
And you said a good point there too, because, you know, when I was at the height of my career and I was in a 5-story building of music and film and all of that, and I was running, driving home one night, and I ran off the road, and it was just a blessing that I ran off on the exit to only find out about this thing called pre-diabetes. And so a lot of times we run and we don't understand what's inside of us. We don't understand our body is telling us you need to change your diet, you need to change your sleeping patterns. Because when we see you, you look so healthy. So we didn't even think that, you know, you were going through something, some health scare. And so how important it is for men to actually get checked up, or, you know, at least get some rest.
Oh my God. Historically, black men, we don't like to go to the doctor. We don't get prostate exams. We don't get annual physicals. I plead to any man of color or any adult male, get a prostate exam yearly, get a physical yearly, get your cholesterol checked, your blood pressure checked. Luckily, I don't have any issues like that, but I went through a battery of tests several months ago, where I went to the emergency room crawling. I couldn't even walk. And so after 2.5 months on crutches and a lot of tests, I'm almost back to myself. But there's not a dollar amount you can put on your health and your well-being and your fulfillment in life. There's not a dollar amount you can put on it.
Well, and I like earlier something you said about dreaming and, you know, keeping a vision going. A lot of things is happening for, you know, Dallas. And so we're encouraging these young men, these young ladies of all races to, you know, stay focused on your dream. If you got that song, if you got that script, if you have that poem that you're hiding because you don't think anybody will like it, I'm encouraging you, come on American Rooted and let's talk about it. We'll introduce you to people like Larry Kemp. We'll introduce you to people like Jay Holland. We're encouraging you to go ahead and share your gift with the world. I'm honored to have someone on with us tonight right here on American Rooted. Of course, he's not a filmmaker. He's not an artist, but he is a businessman, and he is encouraging us tonight with his knowledge. This knowledge also will work for business. I mean, or this for the music business, for the entertainment business. What he's telling us tonight will fall right into what you're doing, whether you're an independent artist, whether you're a band, whether you are, you know, aspiring film director. Now is the time to go ahead and follow your dreams. I'm a little country boy from Florida. Never in a million years would I think that I would have a movie in a museum movie in libraries, movie on Amazon, recognized by the state. And, never did I realize all of this came because I stepped out into a dream. So we're honored to have Mr. Kemp on tonight. Mr. Kemp, we're going to see you again Sunday, right? And on Sunday, we'll be face to face.
Yes, sir.
We won't talk over the phone, but we'll have a chance to share. I'll give you a tour of the garden because you're coming to speak to us, I think, on the 29th.
Yes, sir.
You'll be coming to speak to us and encourage our youth.
I'm excited about it.
That's great.
I'm always excited when I talk to young people. I'm always excited to do that.
They need it because, like I said before, a lot of these young people they don't believe that that day of 18th is coming when they turn 18 and they're on their own and bills that those bills start calling. They don't believe in that, and so they need people to encourage them for some good stuff. I love giving them the positive, but I love giving them the real because some of these kids that we work with, once again, we tell all the people. The last meal they have of the day is when they leave school. And on Friday, their next meal may be Monday morning when school starts again. So we don't have time to lay around and play around. We got to go out here and do what you're doing and do what Jay is doing and Cleve is doing. It's fighting for these youth, fighting for these artists, fighting for these directors, these dancers, and let them know there's an opportunity, but you got to take it serious. You got to get that business down. And you got to get focused, and now is the time. So we thank you for joining us right here on American Rooted, Mr. Kemp. We're going to get ready to get off. We got 3 minutes left, so we thank Anthony for joining us. We thank Jill for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you all sticking with us out here on American Rooted. We hope to have you again next week. Next week, I'll be talking to the music director for Frankie Beverly and Mays. He's also the bass player for them, and he has his own band. Bear Williams is the artist we'll have. Bear Williams is the artist we'll have next week. So come back. Once again, the 29th, we'll be back with Mr. Kemp. And then on the following Wednesday from there, we have another artist from Dallas, young artist, who's going to be sharing some of his music. So excited. So please join us next week so you'll hear some of Bear's music and then from there on. All right. We look forward to it. We really appreciate you again. See you next Wednesday. All right. Bye-bye.